Hey guys, Steve with Smack's Garage. Back from a little hiatus. I know I've been gone for a little bit, about a month, but we're gonna start posting regularly again. Been super busy. This video is gonna be our 2-post lift install. As you can see, we're a little ahead of time here. Shout out to Thor, one of my good friends, for helping me do this install and give some of his wise words of wisdom on how to install it properly. So stay tuned and enjoy the video. This should help anybody trying to put a lift up in their own garage.
Back with Smack's Garage. I don't guess it's gonna be like a full-on tutorial, but we're gonna document along the way today. So we were told by the warehouse that he bought the lift from to put this plate down first to where you want your lift to go. So we put that down there.
Yeah, we're gonna put the base plate down first so that we don't just measure what the manual says and then drill holes and have it not line up. So that was recommendation from Mechanic Superstore where I got the lift from. So we're gonna do that. There's obviously already a lift here at one point. I don't know what kind of lift, but the anchors are a little bit chinsier than they were.
We still need to cut these off too. Just get them out of the way. The lift came with bolts that are from China. And we're not going to use these because obviously we don't know where they came from. They're just in a plastic bag. So went to the big old Lowe's and we got red heads. And then we also got red head wedges, which we're going to drill, and we'll set the camera up over there. We're going to drill those in place to hold that. But we're going to go a step above the recommendations in the instructions, and we're actually going to put epoxy adhesive inside the holes that we drill, then put these in there, just so we don't have the lift fall on Steve when he's working on a car.
Can't have you happen.
All right, guys, so take a tape measure after what you'll see on the other camera. Just set them in place. They're just sitting here right now. This isn't attached. We just laid it there so that we can make sure when he's pulling his cars in that we want to be wide enough, because there's a little play here. This doesn't have to sit inside the notches right there perfectly. You could move this over if you have wider cars a little bit. So what we're going to do now is we're going to measure here to there, get our measurement, which we're 8 foot 3 inches, and then go to the other side and measure the same spot, 8 foot 3. So now you know, first of all, they're square with each other. They're facing each other perfectly, and we're good. So now there's little notch outs there. Plate will go in. Now that we're in place with where we want to go, we lined it up with the garage door. And this is going to be, you know, up to you guys on how your garage and stuff is, but just lay it out. We still got to cut those 2 bolts off. Don't pay attention to them. It's from the old lift. But now we're in place. We're square. We know where it's going to go. So what we're going to do is come. We also have a gap here. So the kit did come with washers. They're little, actually, let me just show them to you so that you guys can see them. The kit comes with these washers, and you see how they got a big U shape on them, so you can put them under, slide them under where there's a gap. So what we're going to do is we're gonna mark these holes, we're gonna drill these holes for our new red heads to go in there, our concrete anchors to go in. These are gonna be shims, so you see we have a gap here underneath. So you're just gonna put these together. Make sure your lift is level, so put a level on this, see which way you need to go. And if you need to go that way, obviously pick this side up. Or if you need to come this way, pick that side up. And then you wanna put these under here after you drill your holes for your brackets. And then put your epoxy in there, put that red head down in there. But use these to get your lift level. You don't want to end up with it being a 1/4 inch off this way, which you can see we have a good 1/4 inch here. Because then you're going to bind your lift cables and your lift arms up. When it goes up, you don't want them to be off either way. You want them to be perfectly straight. So make sure you use these shims to get your lift level on both sides. And then, yeah, we're going to mark these holes now. We're going to lay our shims here so we know we're level, we know we're square. We're going to go ahead and get our shims out in place where they need to go. We're going to mark our holes. These 2 holes that are here in the front on both lifts, we are going to have to mark them, pull the lift out of the way, and then drill those. Before we do that, we're going to actually drill these 4 in the back.
Okay.
Since we have plenty of space back here, let's drill those first. Leave the lift in place, use your lift as your drill bit kind of spot holder.
We could lift this arm up. Okay, this works.
Wait, we got to introduce you. You've never been on the channel before.
Yeah, I guess I helped you film the picking up of this.
True. I didn't even introduce you. I was
episode.
rude.
You didn't even talk about it at all.
I just said, fuck it, I'm posting it.
It's okay. All right, guys, I know we're gonna get questions on why are we not using the hardware that came with the lift, and my simplest answer to you guys is, I'm a contractor. I've been building houses for a long time, remodeling, and we don't use anything that doesn't have, this fancy writing on the back that says it passed, ICC rating for this many pounds. ANSI standards. Yeah, so that's a big thing. And I don't want my buddy here to die when he's trying to change his oil in his car or something, So anyways, these are in just a plastic bag. I don't know what they are, what brand they are, where they came from or anything other than they say 3/4 on them. So we went and got Redhead brand. Sponsor our channel, Redhead. That'd be great. We got Redhead brand. We also got Redhead epoxy for going in the hole. So what we're going to do is drill these holes, vacuum them out, put the epoxy in there, and then put the actual Redhead ones in there since we know these are safe. They've been tested and they're the same size that we need. But that's just to kind of clear up why we're not using the ones that came with the lift. Again, I don't know what they are or where they came from, and I'd rather be safe and not have my good buddy here in the hospital
Have
or
the thing collapse on it. So.
Yeah, I don't want it to fall on you, buddy. So we have my tools are with me. I brought my hammer drill. This is what we're going to use to drill our holes in the concrete over there. We're going to use a bit. So for the 3/4 wedge anchors that are actually going to be holding the lift down to the concrete, it says that we should use a 3/4 inch drill bit, which we bought. So we got a 3/4 inch concrete drill bit, and we're going to measure our distance. So we know that his concrete here, we're pretty confident it's 3.5 inches.
3.5 or 4.
It's 3.5 or 4 inches. We're going to go with 3.5 because most time people set up their frames with a 2x4 and then they just pour the 3.5 inches of concrete. We're going to go with 3.5. So we don't want to bust all the way through that. We'd actually really like to leave about an inch from the bottom of that. Or we can go with 1/2 inch. So we're going to measure 3 inches on here minus or add to the thickness of the plate, which is, how thick is this? Probably 1/2 inch.
Can't see on that side. Can't see all the way down there with that.
It's 1/2 inch. Okay. So we're going to measure 3.5 from our tip here. and put some tape on it so that we don't go too far down our concrete. So now I'm gonna set the camera down, but we're gonna put tape right here so that when we're drilling, we'll know that when I drill down through, I'm gonna stop here where my tape is and use the tape as a marker so that we don't bust through the bottom of the concrete. So he's gonna get some tape off for us. That's right there. Cool. And you'll notice I do this a lot. So all of my bits have tape on them still. So there is a little thingy. If you buy this new, there is a little metal. Actually, look, here it is. This comes in here. I don't like this. It's not very sturdy. It goes in here. Sometimes it'll fall out while you're drilling. So I use tape. Trusty dusty duct tape, or in this case I have painter's tape on the others. But so now we'll put this in here and we'll go drill all of our holes down through until we touch the tape and pull out, and then we're good. Then we'll vacuum the dust out.
Well, since I didn't record any of that.
All right, so anyways, drill a hole, use a vacuum. You need to get all that dust out of there. You didn't get to see it, but I'm pretty sure I hit rebar. That's why my bit stopped spinning.
Really?
Yes, I think I hit rebar, which is gonna be common. And even the instructions say don't use rebar.
Yeah.
Because you need to be able to put those anchors in there. Anyways, I drilled down just till my tape touched the top of the plate here, and now we're gonna vacuum this out and we're gonna finish drilling all holes. Trying to cut a zip tie off because we think we found the easier way to drill these other two holes. He's just gonna cut that zip tie off. I don't think it's holding anything. But the back four holes, the back four holes are drilled, very easy to drill with the lift being in place. We can't get to this one here or this one over here because it's obviously the lift pegs are in the way. So we're gonna lift this up, and there's a lock in there. So now it's up, it's locked, it's out of the way. Now we can drill those other two holes. So just for future reference, and anyone that's gonna buy one of these, you don't have to move the whole lift out of the way after you mark the holes. Just drill them in place. Get those four done and lift this out of the way. Now you can do those two in the front. All right, so holes are drilled out. Time to clean them out. Woo! We got our epoxy here. It's ready to go. We want to get all these ready. So we bought 2 boxes, so we have extras. We also have those bolts that we can use because they're 3/4, right? We can use them to put on here as our beater, the beater nut, so that we're not mushrooming this bolt again. Make sure you don't do that. Go ahead and prep all these, get all these ready, because the washer and the nuts will go on, and then you'll put this into the hole as soon as you pour the epoxy in. When you do epoxy, it's going to be 3/4 of the hole. There is directions here on the side of it. It says to go 75% of the hole. So we'll put the tip in there. We'll fill that up 3/4 of the way full. Then we'll drop this in here, and we'll make sure we take a hammer and a beater block and beat it all the way down. And you don't want this to set up on you. There is a work time on here. It's probably like 55 degrees in here. And there's a work time on here. So 55 degrees is going to put us around 8 to 10 minutes work time. Meaning that's how long you've got until this tube starts setting up, or at least the epoxy is going to sit up, and then maybe the tip. You might have a little longer because it's in the tube, but it comes out of here. There's 2 parts in here. You can actually see it. It mixes in this tube here. So that's how it mixes the 2 parts together to then make it work its magic to become really strong. So anyways, like I said, we're going to get all these bolts ready, put all these on here, and then what you want to do is do all of these as quick as possible at the same time. So this is how we're going to prep them. We're actually going to use these gold ones that came with the lift that we're not using. We're going to use these nuts as our beater nuts. Again, this is what it's going to look like. So you're going to, we're not putting the washers and lock washers on today. Since we're using this epoxy, there is a cure time. You're not allowed to tighten the nuts up until it is completely cure, which with our temperature, it says about 85 minutes. We're just gonna let it sit overnight and come back tomorrow and tighten these down to torque specs, which is 110 foot-pounds, which we'll show you guys that too. But don't put the washers and lock washers on, because all we're doing today is putting the epoxy in and beating these down in there. That's all we're doing tonight. We're not gonna tighten them or anything until the epoxy sits up. So go ahead and get all these ready. We're gonna get all of them ready. And then, like I said previously, you wanna put all this in at the same time, put all your bolts in at the same time so that this doesn't sit up on you. And you're gonna beat this with a hammer down into that hole after you put the epoxy in there. So make sure you put the epoxy first. You're gonna beat this in there. This little piece of metal right here, this little collar is on here. There's a slit in it. So what happens, you're gonna beat this down into there, and then when you start, you're gonna take this one off, and when you start tightening this is gonna wedge in the concrete and start pulling down on this, causing this collar to open, and it's gonna wedge this bolt into the concrete. Then you can tighten it down, and the more that it opens, the more stuck it's gonna get in that concrete.
Thor's first time using a caulk gun.
I'm having a little trouble, man. Not every day I get to work with a blue caulk. All right, I'm gonna leave it there. So what we're gonna do, again, this is a 2-part epoxy. There's two parts in here. You can see it will mix inside the tube here. That's how it, again, works its magic. I just broke it, that don't matter. It's just the holder. Put this on here. All right, so again, we got all the bolts ready to go. We got a hammer. I've got a beater block here just in case we need it. But the reason we double nutted this again is so we don't mushroom this head. And we're using these gold ones because we're gonna throw these away. We're not gonna use them anyway. So we're just gonna use them to beat the anchors into the concrete. So we're gonna get to it. Again, take this. What you wanna do first is get the mixture, get it mixed up. Sometimes it'll come out, it won't be totally mixed. So just kind of go there, let a little bit come out first, and then you're ready to go. Again, 3/4 of the way, 3/4 of the way full. So we're gonna go until we're just below that surface, because we know we're about 3 inches in there. Boom, right there. You might be able to see down in there, but I'm just below surface about 1 inch. And then take this, we're gonna put this in here, and take a hammer. Okay. Again, we don't want to tighten this down today. We want that epoxy to sit up. Again, and that's, see how easy that came off. We didn't mushroom our head. Had I beat that without this nut on there, you wouldn't even be able to get the nut off. So, cool deal. We're just gonna let that sit. Let it sit overnight, and we just make sure we're in there good. Cool. That's it, y'all. In the video that we first posted, I said, give it a little squeeze, let it come out, and then we're ready to go. You can clearly see a color difference here in the black versus the gray. There's a black color and there's a white color in here that mix together to create this. So you want it to come out gray. So keep squeezing until it's gray. We did fill that hole 3/4 of the way full with the black, so it's not completely mixed. That hole probably won't help us at all, but it's just one hole out of 6, and they don't require you to use the concrete adhesive anyway, so this is just an extra measure for us and for me to make sure my buddy is safe here. So we got the other 5 holes, we're gonna be good to go. So now we're gonna repeat this process here real quick for you.
Thor's got my back.
Yeah. Again, own up to your mistakes, y'all. Lesson of today. 3/4 of the way full on this hole. All right, 3/4 of the way full. Boom. Put these in here. I'm gonna adjust that back up a little bit. I'm getting a little too close for comfort on mushrooming that head. All right, I definitely ain't moving no more. So we're good to go. 3/4 of the way on the epoxy, y'all. Put this in there. You see that came loose on me as I was beating. Just make sure you adjust it back up to where it's just below the surface here, and then tighten these against each other so that you have a good spot to hit this. That's it. All right, y'all. So we got all the bolts in. 3/4 of the way with the epoxy. Put the bolts in there. Beat them down until you can't go anymore. You will have the epoxy will ooze out like this. That's fine. Just clean it off. We're grabbing some rags now. You want to clean that off. If you don't clean that off, obviously you can tell. See how high that is. We're not going to get our washer on there and be able to tighten this down like we're supposed to. So just take some rags, clean off all the excess that gets oozed out like this. And yeah, if it oozes out like that and it's still under there, it's not in the way of the washer and bolt, that's fine. And another thing that we're going to do tonight is level these. We need to go that way with this one about 1/4 of an inch. So we're gonna take all the bolt heads off, leave the bolts in there, do not remove those. We're gonna put some washers under this side just to lift it up, and just go ahead and level it tonight, so we don't forget tomorrow. I don't think we will forget, but yeah. And then this is where we took out the old bolts on the old lift that was here, and we had some leftover epoxy, so we filled those in and then just smoothed them down with a piece of cardboard. You're more than, you guys can do that if you have that, if there's an old lift or something. Or some holes. You can see we had a bunch over here. We still got 2 bolts we got to cut off. And we'll cut those off tomorrow too. But yeah, see, he just cleaned up the excess. Just take a rag, some paper towels or something, and clean that off so that it doesn't sit up. And I think that's pretty much it for today.
Hell yeah.
We're gonna let these sit overnight, let the epoxy sit up for the total cure time. It'll actually be cured in like an hour and a half. If you're doing this during the day, you can, wait, go take lunch, come back and, tighten them down. But we're gonna let it sit overnight.
Extra security.
Extra security, we'll be safe. We don't have to worry about it. And pretty much it, y'all. We'll see y'all tomorrow. All right, y'all, just like I said, you want to make sure you do this really quick. It started drying on us, so we're chiseling it out with flathead screwdriver. It's still coming out now because it's not fully cure. But again, if you wait till tomorrow, or if you wait the full cure time of an hour and a half, you're not gonna get that out. So make sure you guys clean around these bolts if you use that epoxy at all before you walk off and leave it for a few hours. Make sure they're clean. What we doing, Steve?
Leveling the lift. It's gotta come to that
A
way.
little close. We gotta move it just a tad. That one's in, level. All of the nuts have been torqued to spec. And now we're gonna level this one, get this one in. Oh, we'll see. Yeah, we need to come this way just a little bit.
Come this way. So what we're gonna do with the shims is we leveled it, made sure it's level, and now we're just going to take a screwdriver and a hammer, tap the shims into place so that they're not seen, and so the concrete doesn't harden. There we go.
Cool.
Did that same thing on the front two and the back two that we needed to level.
And guys, there was some shims in here that are different thicknesses. So actually, as you can see right here, it might be hard to see on camera, but you can tell that there's different thicknesses. Just play with them to see what you need. Again, we have some under there, and then we have some under here. Make sure you go back and clean all this stuff out. You don't have to clean it out that hole of the lift. You just, doesn't need to be protruding up past the surface here so that your washer, lock washer, and nut can go on. So we're actually gonna go and take all these nuts off, and we're gonna go back and make sure everything's super clean. So we'll clean that little tiny bit out right there. It's not a whole lot, but just go take them all out and just make sure you guys inspect and make sure it's all clean. What you don't want to do if you use this stuff is if you come back tomorrow and you have a gob sticking up, then you're gonna have to take a grinder or something to it to get it off, and it's just more work that you don't need to do. So just make sure you guys set yourself up for success when you put these in. Epoxy, set the bolts in there, take the nuts off, clean everything. Shim, again, like I said previously, you want to shim tonight as well so that that epoxy does not set up and then you can't get your shims in there tomorrow. All right, we're gonna go do this side now. All right, guys, it's back. It's the next day. We put all the washers and lock washers on there and put the nuts on here. Also, the overspill on the epoxy there. We tried to move this and we can't. It is level because we leveled it yesterday, but it's just the epoxy, guys, without the stuff on there.
Oh, that's probably more than that. I didn't realize that went all the way down.
Yeah.
It's probably more than 100.
We're going to tighten them up a little bit and then go back with the torque wrench and make sure they're good to the legal requirement and spec.
I'm the king of the rodeo.
Yeah. No, I said I took responsibility for what I was wrong on yesterday, so you got to take responsibility for yours today.
Yeah, so I laid tiles under the base plate. Oh God, dying. I laid tiles under the base plate. Obviously, you can see by the tiles, it didn't work. because it was going to make this base plate higher than it already was for cars riding up. And, you know, me, I like to have my cars inside of the room. So, any more clearance we can gain by just having these tiles before the base plate, and the base plate just that, like, probably what, 1/16 of an inch.
Yeah, yeah.
Just helps us more clearance. That way, don't worry about ripping front lips off and front bumpers off, and all that good stuff. So I'm gonna cut those tiles, and we're just gonna mock this up for when it's gonna get mounted.
So we're gonna drill the holes now for the base plate. There's 2 holes. So we're gonna drill those. We have some 4-inch tap cons that are removable, so you can take it in and out when he needs to get in here to run the hydraulic lines, safety cables. And then he's gonna cut these and just fit them back in here. See that side's got the little rip. He's gonna put that in here and help with car height. It's gonna be cool. All right, y'all, we're back with a quick update after we tried to read that paper like 30 times.
It's not great. The instructions are very vague. I don't know how it is with other lift companies, but AMGO
Is a no-go.
is a no-go for instructions. So if you want to learn how to do anything, it's either figure it out yourself time or go steal like Ben Pack's lift instructions, which we should have done. Probably would have showed us how to do it easier. But what we just did is we ran both of the lift cables on both sides. Took a little bit of brain power to figure out.
Don't forget the top plates.
Oh, and we had to put those 2 top plates on that are held on with just 2 bolts on the inside. But go ahead.
We made a video earlier, which you'll probably cut out, but we talked about changing the pulleys on the sides. You don't have to do that. So after we just pulled the cable through and was like, okay, let's figure this out. The big thing is pull these lift arms up, make sure that they're in the exact same height. And doing so will allow you to run the cables and not have any issues with it being too tight on one side or it being uneven. So just make sure your lift arms are up and in the same spot. So this is a power arm side. The cable is in here on the inside with the 2 nuts on there. That is in the instructions. Goes up around the top pulley on the left side, or the front side, which is where the motor housing hydraulic fluid is going to go. Pulley's on the left, so go up around the pulley. It just goes down through there, nothing fancy. Goes down, comes around that pulley, comes over here, goes under that pulley there, and then it goes inside here. And it's probably going to be hard to see, but there's a nut. So on one side of the cable has this thread and the 2 nuts on it. The other side of the cable is a round head that's just crimped onto the cable. So you have to feed that side through first. So we did this one here first. So you have to feed it through here and it will come into here, which you can see it, and you can actually see the crimp in there. So the end will go in.
Hey guys, so I just wanted to go over a few other things. Besides the main lift cables, you're gonna have this safety cable that's gonna connect into the single, well, it's a dual safety, but a single side release, which is actually on the lift side, which is gonna look like this. You're gonna have a small plastic pulley, and that's gonna run down under the lift over to this side where it's gonna have a larger black plastic pulley for that dual lock. Also, you are gonna have another couple of fittings that bring hydraulic fluid underneath. Send it from this unit right here. That line's gonna run underneath and connect into here. This unit is held on with 4 bolts. So simple. As far as wiring it in, I wanted to put a box on there in case I needed to do any type of
maintenance to it instead of just wiring it up and closing it in. So I can get to everything and change wires if I need to. But wiring, 3 wires, 2 of them are hots, 1's a ground. Ran the wire 220 all the way back. Would definitely recommend going with your professional installation on the electrical work, as we did. Other than that, then you test to make sure the lift works. Up, down, you have your safeties locked. Hold this, hold the down, lowers down. There's only 2 more things that we have to do. Is on both sides, there's 2 bolts. And we are gonna create a plate under there that's gonna hold the hydraulic hoses away from the actual lift cables moving back and forth. So that's the last 2 things we have to do. But as you can see, it is up and it is functional.
And I just want to take a moment to thank all you guys for watching that. I hope this helped in some way if you're planning on installing a 2-post lift. It has been nothing but a blessing so far and a kind of a dream come true. So much easier to do a ton of different things to my cars. I mean, changing an O2 sensor on the F80, which will be another video coming soon. So much easier with the lift. Just lift the car up, do it from underneath the car. I have to lower the car down to get to a connector. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Until next time, guys,